welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the Welcome Home podcast. How are you guys doing? You already know what it is. Feel free to drop that down below. Let us know how you've been over this last, what is it, 2 weeks?
hmm
Yeah. How the Lord has been good to you, what's been going on. Give us some updates down in the comments. How are you doing?
I am exhausted and disappointed.
Why is that?
It's just been a really long week. That's why I'm exhausted and disappointed because I got some news that I didn't want to get.
I think I have
Yeah.
knowledge of the news you're referring to, but for those who are going to be listening or watching, give them some insight to what's been going on.
I applied for a Sephora squad, I think maybe like 2 months ago. And yesterday I found out that I didn't get in. So
Yeah.
I was really hoping that it would be different news,
hmm
that it would be a testimony on the podcast, but it's just not in God's timing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's there'll come a time where you'll be able to testify to something like that or to that particular thing. But even in the midst of all of it, God is still good,
He is.
and there's probably a reason for it. And so we're just gonna trust Him in that regard. Do you want to give insight to why the week has been long for you?
Um I'm just mentally, emotionally, physically just tired. Like a lot has been going on, and I think I've just like hit that place in the season where I can truly say, God, I'm exhausted. Like I can't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll show up, but
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
Yeah. So would you say it's a culmination of just, different things that we've been going through? Um, what would you say it's a result of?
Yeah, just like different things.
Yeah.
Things I don't want to really discuss on the podcast, to be honest, but just like different things, and I'm just tired.
Yeah. Well, I will give insight to where I'm at. I am, I don't know. I think discouraged isn't the right word. I think just things just kind of feel very ambiguous, right? And I'm very plan oriented. I typically like plan the next 10 steps. And I feel like I've gotten to that place where I've exhausted all 10, and then the spare 2 or 3 steps that I'll put in my back pocket also have been exercised. Um, as you guys know that have been keeping up for all of these episodes in this season, we've been in a very faith required season. And, to my wife's point, I think it's just like getting to that point where it's like, dang, like, what the heck is actually going on? Um, yeah. I guess, this episode is going to be a little different because it is part one of the season finale. This is episode 14, which I think we can give, not even think, I know we can give God glory for that. We, I believe, heard from the Lord to start this podcast, and He's given us the grace to be able to do so far 14 episodes and near the end of season one. So that is a good thing to be grateful to God for. And there's so much more to be grateful to God for. But I think in this episode, definitely want to give insight to the aspects of the faith and the part of the walk that isn't glitz and glam and isn't always the easiest. And so, yeah, this episode is going to be different for different reasons, but that's one of them. Um, Going back to how I've been, I had plans with regards to an opportunity that I thought it was the Lord, quite frankly, and it didn't work out. And I've been presented some other opportunities. In all candor, since this is going to be part one of the season finale, you guys won't know a lot between now and next season. One of the opportunities that I've been presented is an opportunity to get into full-time ministry. And, the opportunity is an interesting one, to say the least, but it's so ambiguous, this it being offered at this point in the season. And then just different things like I believe I've heard the Lord speak to me about certain things that I expected to be happening around this time, and then I was just, since it's not, at least to my knowledge, happening, it's just been like, did I hear correctly? Am I tripping? You know. Um, but yeah, I don't want to like sulk or anything, but just been really discouraged as of lately. So yeah,
I feel you.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I was on live earlier today, and for the first time ever, I was on TikTok live. For the first time ever, I couldn't encourage the girls. Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't do it. I genuinely don't have it in me. I I have to call in reinforcements. I have called in reinforcements this week. Just telling my praying partners, my girlfriends, like, I need help. I need y'all to be praying because where I'm at, it could be a very slippery slope elsewhere. So, um, I am holding on so tight to the truth that is God is good regardless of the situation. Um, I am just kind of feeling like where is he in the situation, to be honest.
Mhm.
So I get where your head space is at.
Yeah, yeah. We were at a Bible study yesterday, our church's Bible study, and we had like a I guess a big dog pastor. Our church is a part of an organization. I won't disclose the organization, but for those who know us, you know what we're talking about. And anyways, he came down, and I thought the Bible study was very profound. But I asked him a question. I asked him, "How do you hear the voice of the Lord in the wilderness?" And wow, it's actually escaping me what he said.
He said, he started off by saying sometimes there are seasons where God is silent.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And I think like he mentioned two people. I want to say one of them was like Moses.
Yeah, and he also mentioned Christ. He also mentioned Christ.
Yeah, where like God spoke to, I want to say Moses, I could be wrong. God spoke to Moses, like, no, it was Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
God spoke to Jonathan at 17, and then he didn't,
David.
David
Mm-hmm.
at 17, and then he didn't speak to him like for another like 15 plus years later.
Mm-hmm.
And in that season, he's basically testing you and growing you for the more, the
Mm-hmm.
better, his glory. Um, and in that moment, I was just like, I was so wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was also thinking, like, you didn't speak for 10 years. What?
Yeah.
No, I need way more assurance than that. And my Father in heaven knows I need way more assurance than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. We might just be at that part of the test where it's like the teacher's just silent. Um, Funny enough, I have a song about there being power in the silence, and the Lord moving and healing and changing. I don't know, man. Like faith that is no longer theory but is real is really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Um, but we don't mean to be very somber in this episode. I think we just don't want to be disingenuous to where we are. I think it'd be easy to hop on here and be on some, hi guys, everything's great, and and in reality, it's not. Um, in the aspect of what we think and how we feel in this particular moment, we know in the grand scheme everything would be good. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but yeah, I am grateful to God though that He is still in control and He is still sovereign. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I'd say. Is there anything that's been going on, I guess, from a societal standpoint that you would say has been interesting?
Mm, I don't think so. Like, I haven't really been heavily on social media lately,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I haven't been like scrolling heavily. So I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing I do want to talk about is how, like, what do you think we're supposed to do in seasons like this, like times like this, where the Lord could be testing us. The Lord probably is testing us, and it almost feels like he's not there. What would you say you believe is the appropriate approach for the Christian?
To pray without ceasing. Um, that would be like the first thing that came to my mind is to continue to cry out to the Lord. Speaking of crying out to the Lord, in yesterday's Bible study, the pastor basically ended off by saying that um, when you're trying to float and you're just like drowning underwater, the first thing that you should do is just to cry out to the Lord. And it really hit me because I was thinking like, when was the last time I really cried out? Like I feel like lately I've been praying, but because I've been praying about the same thing, maybe I'm being like lackadaisical, and I haven't really like sat down and been like, Lord, I'm really sad that I don't hear you, I don't feel you, I don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
And to just really sit in that. It's been a while since I've had like a good cry. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what like you're supposed to do, is to cry out and pray. What do you think?
Um, I think it's in times like this that you remember what the Lord has said. Um, and you really hold on to the word of the Lord. I mean, at this point, like, it's all, like, there's nothing else that you got, right? Like, we're really at that place where there is literally no other plan. Like, I've done plan Z. And it's like, even when things pop up as new opportunities, which they have by the grace of God in this last week, um, I'm not really like optimistic or overjoyed. I'm just like, all right, if it's what the Lord wants. And I don't know if that's the right mind or heart to have. Like, I don't know if that's part of what the Lord wants me to learn, want us to learn, that regardless of the highs or the lows, to remain even keeled. I don't know. But anyways, I'm kind of digressing. I would say holding on to the word of the Lord is what is all that kind of keeps me sane. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I would say.
What do you do when you don't have the zeal? Like I think like we're talking in a perfect world where like you knew what to do and you actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those people that are maybe struggling with like, girl, I cannot get up to even do to cry out.
Mm,
Like I don't have the energy to cry out. I don't want to cry out.
yeah,
What do you do then?
I think community is super integral. One thing I can attest to during this season, shout out to all our friends, shout out to our family. Um, I can't really say that in this time and in this season, we really figured out who our friends were. And we really figured out who our family was. Like, in these last 3 months, people who can be there in the way that they can, they've been there. Whether
Yeah.
it be like simply helping us financially, or a word of encouragement, checking in on us.
Yeah.
Um, Family and friends have been family and friends. And um, to that point, like the movie night crew, um, my big bros from church and their wives, my actual family, my mom has stepped up in ways that have surprised me and just checking up on me. Um, Different friends and family that have also helped out financially. Um, pastor friends, or mummies and daddies in the Lord, as some of our people would say. They've been so integral in this time that it helps, right, to stay encouraged and to stay optimistic and to stay motivated. Um, and the way that, my guy friends, my brothers have been checking in on me, it hasn't been in like a judgmental way. They'll check in on me, and I think it's a genuine care. So, to your question, I think the way that you find the strength sometimes can be from other people that the Lord has put around you.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. That's kind of like what I was saying earlier when I had to call out on my village of women this week a lot more. and they really stood up to the plate for me. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, part of the reason that this episode is going to be different is because we're actually going to be doing, I guess, a little bit of a story time that will cap off in this episode. Um, but before we get into those details, as I've mentioned, this is part one of the season one season finale. And we've been having conversations about how we want to progress during this quote unquote off season or off time from the podcast to kind of grow and let the Lord teach us and, go through transitionary periods that I believe the Lord is preparing us for. And one of the things that we've been talking about as it relates to the platform or the channel is what we want to do during this off time, right? We've tossed out the idea of maybe potentially getting into vlogging, our lives together, right? And the different things that we'll do. I think a lot of the times what I've learned in my journey on YouTube is people will say that their lives are too boring to document. But I've realized that we actually do a lot of stuff. Like in this last month, we traveled a lot. And for people who don't got no money and, and don't
seriously,
know what the heck is coming next, like we moved around a lot by the grace of God. But we thought about vlogging. We've thrown out different ideas in terms of different engaging things that we can do. But we're ultimately bringing this up. I'm ultimately bringing this up because we want y'all's insight as to what do y'all want to see from us while we're off season from the podcast. Do y'all want to see vlogs? Do y'all want to see street interviews? Do y'all want to see challenges? And not like the cringy stuff that like is fake and acted out, but like Bernice and I have had this idea because Bernice is such a phenomenal cook. And I just think that if I do anything, put my mind to it, I can be good at it. We've had this idea that I proposed to her, which was we cook the same dish, so same appetizer, entree, and dessert, and then, or I guess the same entree, but as far as like appetizer, no, it would have to be the same food. Anyways, we would cook the same dishes, and then we would have maybe some friends or some family come and not tell them who cooked what, and have them try it and see who won. Things like that, right? And in the process of cooking, maybe a story time or speaking to something. But anyways, it's kind of a little long-winded. We would love to hear y'all's thoughts in terms of what you would love to see while the podcast is off season. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
no, just let us know.
Yeah, drop it down in the comments down below. And we're really, really serious about this because we were thinking, let's take a break off of YouTube and the podcast, which we're definitely going to do as it relates to the podcast. But we want to keep growing, right? Keep growing the platform, keep growing the audience, keep spreading the good news and the gospel, keep continuing the goal to be authentic and relatable. And so just finding different ways to do that. So yeah, feel free to drop in the comments down below what y'all would love to see, and we would definitely take it into consideration. Yeah. But I'm going to throw it your way to go ahead and kick us off for, I guess, this unique episode or this story time.
Our story time today is talking about how we met.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I feel like we're we're not as no, I do know why. But I feel like we need to lighten up a little bit.
I'm sorry, y'all. This is as much as energy as you're going to get from me today.
Mm.
It's also like 10 p.m., and y'all know how I feel about late night posting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired.
Mm.
I'm sleepy. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a long day. I literally need to like go to bed and wake up in 2025.
Okay.
Like, that's
Anyways,
how I feel.
so I guess if you're watching this or listening to this, listen to this when you're on a plane or on a train, or watch this in bed with some ice cream or something. Maybe it'll give it that more of a cozy feel. But okay. How we met. How we met. Might I add, we're talking about this because some, I guess, snippets of our previous episodes had done well on different platforms, and there was a common request to figure out and find out how did y'all two even meet, right? So we figured why not start off the season finale with this story time. And yeah, so from your vantage point, how would you say that we met? What were you doing before you met me, what was life like before you met me? And yeah,
Life before I met you. So I graduated high school, and
you gonna tell the
I
year?
2015.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm a young chick,
Oh, okay.
so I have no shame.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it honestly doesn't even matter when you graduate high school, because some people graduate high school when they're like 30,
Who's
GED.
doing that? Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
So, I mean, I'll tell you 2015, but that doesn't mean you know my age. Anyways, graduated high school 2015, went to Lubbock.
How did you
Um,
How did you get to Lubbock? Let's start that far back.
I applied.
Yeah, I know, but were you always wanting to go to Texas Tech, or I remember you telling me a story in terms of yeah. Did you always want to go to Texas Tech?
I think so.
Oh, brother.
What story did I tell you?
Oh man. You know, if we're gonna do this story time, it's got to be interesting.
What story did I tell you?
You told me that you applied to Texas Tech last minute, and you almost didn't even go, and you got accepted last minute, and then you went out there with your dad for orientation.
That is not interesting.
Yes, but you got to give these details that lead to the. Oh, brother. Okay, continue telling your story.
So I graduated high school, and then I applied to Texas Tech at the end of the summer. I got enrolled into Texas Tech. I went out for orientation, and then I
Oh
started
my gosh.
school. Like, it's really
Okay.
not that interesting.
The art of
Um,
storytelling.
don't
Anyways,
tell me about the art of storytelling when you just got here as a creator. I've been storytelling.
listen. Let's not
Anyways,
get into it.
um,
Let's not
the
get
girls
into it.
love my story
Hey,
times.
man. I'm not
So,
knocking you.
um, so yeah, I come to school, and I am so excited to be outside of my parents' house. Like, I'm so excited to, like, this is the first time that I've ever been around this many black people.
Mm.
I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Suburbia.
I did have black friends, like, don't get it twisted. My group of friends, like, close friends, were actually black people. But this is the first time, and my suburban black girls will understand what I'm saying. This is the first time I've been around this many black men that are giving me attention.
Mm.
Um, in high school, I had like a long time boyfriend, so I didn't really have to like. I didn't really struggle in that department,
Mm.
but the selection was few. I was called darky. I wasn't your stereotypical like black girl. Like, I didn't fit the mold. So there was a little part of me in high school where I was like, dang, like, I don't think guys like me. Up until I got to college, and I was like, no, I'm hot. Like, that's
Mm.
so crazy. And so I was boy crazy all freshman year, really, up until the Lord Jesus Christ came into my life, and there was no boy in sight anymore.
Mm.
Um, so that was my freshman year. I had lots of quote unquote fun, like worldly fun. I did all the things, really. I sometimes, no, I'm not going to say that. I was in the world. Let me just
Nah,
say
you
that.
need to say what it is.
Sometimes people have these like crazy college stories, and I think to myself, I used to think to myself, darn, I only really have like a year's, maybe like a year and a half's worth of content. Meanwhile, people have like 4 or 5 years
There's
of
a
like
reason that it was four.
of college content, and I'm
That
just
it
like,
was four, but they were there for 5, 6, 7.
listen,
Anyways.
I wish that I could tell the stories of like my crazy college days.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't that. So then I finish off my freshman year, and I start sophomore year. Go ahead, because sophomore year is whenever you started your life.
Okay. Wait, no, you got to tell me right up until you meet me, and then I'll take it off. And I'll go from where I went. So you
No,
start sophomore
no,
year.
no, 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 no. I start sophomore year, and I don't know you. You have to now
Wait,
start,
why would
because
you?
that's when you started. You started living
I
my sophomore year.
okay, okay, but I need you to tell me from like right up until the moment you saw me.
Okay, and then
They
I'll
need
cut
to
it
hear
off.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Second semester of my freshman year of college, one of my really close friends at the time, Fian, invites me to his church. And I had been running away from going to this church with him specifically for the longest time. And one Sunday he was like, I'm downstairs, come, we're going to church. And I was like, you know what? I have been wanting to grow my relationship with Christ. Let me do it. I go the first time and I'm like, this is crazy. I don't ever want to go again. I don't know how he convinced me to go the second time, but the second time I go, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this thing is real. Like, I think God is here. Third
Mm.
time I go, I give my life to Christ and I'm all in. Um, and God is so kind that he surrounded me with people that, you know, it's second semester, so like we're gonna go to like summer and I won't be at school until August. And so that entire summer he surrounds me with people that like really rally around me
Mm-hmm.
and want to see me grow and want to make sure that I am still in my word. I'm still, you know, just about Jesus. And so second semester rolls around and then they're like, what ministry do you want to join? And or my second year of college rolls around and they asked me, what ministry do you want to join?
Mm.
At the time there was only one ministry, like there was only literally choir. And so
Wait, so why would they why would they ask you what the one ministry in the church, what ministry do you want to join?
I don't know, they said, where do you want to serve?
Huh?
And it was either like choir or media, and media was like setting up
Okay, okay.
microphones and
I
stuff,
see, I
and I
see.
was like, definitely not that. Like, I think I can sing. And so they were like, the more the merrier. Come on down. Like, you don't need a voice to sing to the Lord. Like,
Yeah,
you just need a heart. And so I
this
said,
is
yeah,
true.
absolutely, choir. This is the first time I had ever done anything like church related. Like, I'd never served in church
Mm,
before.
really?
No.
I never put that together.
Yeah, no, I'd never served in church before. I mean, like, I was in like a youth program, but we didn't do anything like
Okay.
prior to.
Okay.
And so I think this was like, I think the first Sunday I don't join because I was at Welcome Week.
Mm.
One leg in and one leg out. Okay. I was at Welcome Week. So like I don't go to choir practice. Come the second Sunday, they were like, Bernice, you got to come to choir practice this Saturday. And so I drive my little car to choir practice. I get there and a lot of these people like I already know I'm cool with. I sit next to this one girl at the time. We're cool.
Okay.
I told you we were cool.
Okay.
And so like me and her are chopping it up, giggling, laughing. I'm like, this is choir. Like this is so nice. Mind you, we haven't even sang yet. We haven't even done Bernice Stern, alto, soprano, tenor. We haven't done any of that yet. So I'm thinking like this is like such a fun little hangout. And then this guy walks in, like skinny, lanky, emphasis on skinny and lanky, big head, big head. And he walks in and he's like, hey guys. You don't think that's funny? He's like, hey guys, like literally in that tone. And I go, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Not cute like baby cute. Like, oh my gosh, he's like such a cute guy. Like his aura was giving like, oh, you're a nice guy. Like you're a good guy. Like you're cute, you know? And then the guy goes the guy like they're like, "Oh guys, this is Seun." And I guess at the time you had like gone crazy on like Vine or Twitter or something, and that's where they found you and recruited you to come to church. I don't know. But then they were like, "This is Seun. He's a freshman. He just got here." Immediately, my face is like, "He's actually not that cute. He's okay." A
I'm
freshman?
confused. So if the cuteness was, baby aura, why am I all of a sudden not that cute if I'm still?
It was different.
It's okay, okay.
It
Anyways,
was different.
is that all?
Yeah, right at the he said the girl goes, "Oh, this is Sean. Like, you know, y'all haven't seen his like videos on Twitter or Vine or something." I had never, And she goes, yeah, he's a freshman. He's new here. And immediately I'm like, the girl next to me, funny enough, also thought he was cute. And I remember he walked in and we like held each other, like we squeezed each other because I guess we were both thinking like, ooh, new me. We haven't seen this one yet. And then
Okay.
and
Okay.
then the girl introduces you and says you're a freshman, and the girl is still holding on to me like like she's so excited. Mind you, she's like a grade above me, so she's a junior. And I immediately let her go, and I go, "Girl, you can have him. I do not want a freshman." And scene.
There's so much to that story. Anyways, okay, so me going to Texas Tech. I actually wow, actually. I actually almost didn't go to Texas Tech. I almost went to LSU. I was trying to get out of my parents' house. I was trying to get out. I had been in Houston, born and raised my entire life, kind of traversed through a certain region of Houston, and that's really all that I knew. And so, yeah, I was trying to get out of Houston. And I was like, man, what's the furthest place I can get away? So I applied to a couple of schools that their engineering school were really good. Texas Tech, which was 9 hours or 8 hours away. Kansas University, so almost, or University of Kansas. No, Kansas University, KU. Almost went there, and then LSU. And LSU, I ended up finding out, was about 4 hours away from Houston, which was still a good distance, but it was out of state. So, and so was Kansas. So, when taken into the out of state tuition, Texas Tech was the furthest. Well, no, far enough, right, and in state, which was good to me. So, I applied. I got in. I also was in a relationship, a long-term relationship, um, coming out of high school, and yeah.
Who does that? Who comes to college in a relationship with a person who's not even in your college?
I mean, I really at the time I really liked the girl.
Ugh. I
Okay.
mean, no shade to the girl. I just anybody that comes to college with a partner, I always think like, are you afraid
Well, afraid of what? Wait, what? Afraid
to
of
be
what?
single?
No, no, I don't. No, no. I was, bruh, I was so naive back then. I First off, even if I came to college single, I wasn't gonna participate in the
I don't think you have to. I think it's just like the newness of it all, and why do you have someone holding you back?
holding me back is wild.
Because I think about like you might want to go out with your friends, right? Like
Okay.
you might meet new friends and like let's just say like you're not an extrovert
Mm-hmm.
in high school. Now you're in college and like there's like a new side of you coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner isn't with you to like walk in step with all these new changes. Like they're somewhere else
Mm-hmm.
doing God knows what. But then like they're trying to be on the phone with you and you're trying to go out with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Well, actually, at the time, due to certain things, I actually wasn't able to speak with her anyway. So coming into college, it wasn't even actually. What's so crazy? So I got to college August, and there was a reason why I had to travel, or I chose to travel. But I go and I see her for a week. So all of welcome week, my freshman year, I wasn't in college.
Boo.
Yeah, I touched down the week before, and I had already planned to fly out the next week, and so I flew out. I was out of college for a week, visiting her while welcome week was going on, and then I get back, right, and what am I trying to say? I guess I can give insight to that. So that relationship actually came to an end, ultimately, right, and as far as like getting into church, as she mentioned, so I met Bernice in church, which obviously is a good sign. And at the time when I got to college, I was trying to find a church, and I was trying to find a church that I guess even at that time I wanted to grow. So the first week of school, or the first Sunday, I go to a church. I don't even remember the church that I went to, but the second week, I went to a church that we would still have affiliations with throughout college anyway. It was black, right? And that culture and environment was definitely different, but it was something very interesting, and I had considered going back. But before I went back, Fiend's a homie of ours. Used to be the Three Amigos, and then we made him
No, it used to be a duo, and then you interjected.
if you call it interjection, sir.
It was Fian and I, and Fian. If you see this, you'll correct him. Used to be Fian and I, and then Fian would just always bring you around.
Mm.
And I would be. I remember this one night where like Fian came over, and I thought like Fian and I were close. Like we did a lot of things, just him and I. And he was like the only guy friend that I really like trusted. Like wasn't gonna try any funny business with me. And he would just always bring you around, and I'm like, why is this man here?
Mm.
Mind you, he's a freshman, and Fian and I are not.
Yeah,
So
I think a lot of it.
hierarchy.
I think a lot of it was because a lot of my guy friends were going out to parties, and y'all weren't going out to parties at that
Oh
time.
yeah.
So it was like, hey, bro, what are you doing tonight? And he's like, bro, I'm just chilling with Bernice. I was like, okay, cool. And he would invite me. There did come a point where I was like, oh, let me come kick it with y'all. But initially, he would invite me because I don't know y'all. What the freak? I don't need to come to y'all and hang out with y'all.
He's too friendly.
Too friendly. Anyways, so yeah, so third week he invites me to the church we would ultimately go to. Funny enough, the church that we just recently went back to visit. And that Sunday was also funny because I'd gone with a good friend of mine, and while worship was going on, while praise and worship was going on, I was singing. I so happened to sit behind the pastor's wife, and so while worship is going on, I'm worshiping the Lord. As it finishes, he tells me, um, you know, this lady is probably going to ask you to join the choir after church. He's like, watch. And I was like, okay. And that's exactly what happened. She turned around, she grabbed my hand at the church after church, and she took me to who was the choir director at the time and a friend of mine now. And yeah, so that's how I joined choir. And first choir practice that I had gone to, which was at the hotel at the time, was my birthday. So I went to choir practice on my birthday as a freshman. And then the next week, so they let me know that practice is actually normally at a apartment during the week. And then on Saturdays is at the hotel. So I'm like, cool. I'm in, I'm plugged in. I mean, I'm at the church now. I didn't really have an opportunity to go and check out
I
other
thought your
churches.
birthday was on a Sunday that year.
No, it was on a Saturday that year.
Oh, I wasn't at that practice.
Yeah, I don't think you were. So the next week I go to choir practice, and I walk into the room, and I'm the new kid, so I'm quiet, right? Walk in, and this individual that was the choir director, she introduces me to everyone. I didn't even know she had mentioned the whole like Twitter thing. I don't think I had done anything really on Twitter at that time. I was just posting singing videos here and there. But they, in my mind, they weren't even doing anything crazy. But I guess we're in Texas, so things move laterally in Texas. And so, yeah, you know what's so funny? I remember meeting Bernice when I walk in vaguely. Like, you just see a whole bunch of new faces. So you're just like, oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Um, and yeah, that was it. So I would say my first true interaction with Bernice was I needed a ride home either from this practice or from a practice shortly after that. And she was one of the kids driving a car on campus. So she was bubbly. She's bubbly now. She was bubbly then. And she was like, yeah, I'll take you home. And um, yeah, that's how we met. Let me see how much time it is. 6 minutes. Okay. So I guess let's get into the story of how things progress from friendship to romantics.
Okay. We might have two differencing stories.
Okay.
But like we kept on saying, we hung out a lot with Fiend, and we were like the three amigos. We would like go out to eat together, hang out at the library together. It was just like I felt safe with them. I felt comfortable with them. I felt like I didn't have to like be on at all times with them. Like it was just a good time. And then I don't really know where the shift started to happen. Maybe Fiend like started like liking a girl. So yes, he did start liking a girl. And I remember.
Oh.
And so he like wouldn't like hang out with me anymore. And at the time, honestly and truly, I didn't really have a lot of friends because I had given my life to Christ. And so the friends that I did have before the hand were still like in the world, quote unquote. No, not quote unquote. They were in the world. And so I kind of just like distanced myself. And then in this new church, I didn't really know where I belonged just yet. Sophie was just my go to guy. And so whenever he decided to date somebody, I was like, okay, well, Sean, do you want to hang out? And so and so then it went from a duo to a trio back to a duo, and the duo was now Sean and I. And we went on like car rides together at night. We would have parked car conversations for hours. I would take him to get his haircut. Um, I
Oh,
would spend
that just brought back a memory.
mm, I would spend all my like dining bucks from school on him.
All is kind of wild. All is kind of wild.
All,
No, no, no,
all.
no. Let's not do that.
And at the time, it was a free for all for everybody because I cooked. So I would cook at home. I really didn't need dining bucks, but because I still lived on campus and like the apartment living style, I had all these dining bucks. So anytime he would literally see me, he would be like, "You want to give me Chick-fil-A?" And I did.
It's not every single time now.
It's okay. You didn't have resources, but I did.
I did have resources. I had the highest meal plan.
And you finished
I was
it.
just a growing boy. That's all it was.
You were a growing boy.
Mm.
Okay. Um so then yeah, it just became a duo, and I think when you spend so much time with one person of the opposite sex, now you could have a differencing of opinion. I think that one person has to catch feelings.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that it's impossible for guy and girls to be friends platonically.
I don't want to go as far as to say that.
No, I would say that.
I don't know about that. I've had guy friends.
Whoever wants.
You've had a crush on all your female friends?
No, 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 no. But if I didn't have a crush on them, one of them had a crush on me. It's just as simple.
Yeah, I don't think that that's the like maybe generally, but I personally didn't think that. And at the time, I had a lot of guy friends. I don't think that any of them had a crush on me. I don't.
Brother.
But that's a story
Okay.
for another day. With that being said, we just spent a whole lot of time together, and it was like intentional time. Like we wouldn't just like sit down and like we wouldn't have the park car conversation and just like talk about life aimlessly. I think we were
Inquisitive about each other.
yes, like he really wanted to know me behind the personality. He really wanted to know me like growing up and my family. Like he was really inquisitive about just knowing the real me.
Mm-hmm.
Certain aspects to myself that like I wouldn't even ask myself. Like I would not think about, why is it the way that I think that way? But he would. And so, do you want to speak on that a little?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I want to stress is Bernice and I, in the duration of all of this, were genuine friends. Like, so much to the point where, like, she had her own love interest and I had mine as this is happening.
Yes. And I would tell him about mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not
And
tell your guy friends about your escapades, guys.
I didn't tell her about anything that I did with any girl.
Oh, you didn't have to tell me. I would just drop you off there.
Man. Anyways, yeah, so that's just to speak to the fact that like we were genuine friends. I think, outside of everything, it was just like I'm the type of person that like I'm really introspective. Funny enough, we were having a conversation about it today, and I just think a lot. I think so much. And so when Bernice is this bubbly, charismatic person, publicly and in social circles that I get to hang out with, right? And I don't want to be caught up in like, that's cool. You can do that with everybody. But if we're going to be friends, like, I want to know you, right? And so and I think she was intriguing in that regard. So, I would just, it'd be easy. Like, if I'm going to get this girl to get me some food, Let's make the time worthwhile. So let's talk, right? Let's get to know each other.
So you're
And
a user.
no. It's not even. I literally just said if I'm gonna get food, let's make the time worthwhile. Let's talk, right? It wasn't just to like, and it wasn't even every single time that you took me out on late nights that we got food. It was literally a lot of times. It was just let's drive, let's talk. I'm bored.
No, I'm more just saying like if I saw you on campus
Mm-hmm.
and you saw me on campus, it'd be like, what are you finna get into? And I'd be like, nothing. I'm going to class. Oh, do you want to give me Chick-fil-A?
Anyways, to talk about the how we got to know each other more and more in friendship. I think a lot of that was just being intrigued by the person that Bernice was. Um, One thing that I would, and my best friend can attest to this, and again, this is coming from the heart that is like genuinely platonic. Bernice was the first girl that I saw, and I was like, man, she is beautiful.
I'm not the first girl that you
No,
saw.
listen to the full story. She is beautiful.
Sorry.
Okay. For everybody, that's your opportunity for everybody who's listening or watching. That was your opportunity to laugh. Anyways, she was the first girl that I kid you not, this is not an exaggeration, where I saw her as beautiful, and it wasn't anything like from an attraction standpoint. It was genuinely like you are just like you're a beautiful, and I'm talking about like physically. She was a beautiful, like
Oh,
beautiful face, nice smile. Like I was like, man, she is really beautiful. And then coupling that with like having good friendship, it was like, man, she's a dope person, right?
I do get that a lot.
I think like I cannot stress enough how genuinely this was like. I wouldn't even go as far as to say the bro, because well, no, she was the bro because we would wrestle and fight like siblings.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I did call you little bro.
Mm-hmm.
I did because we would wrestle
Mm-hmm.
and you would think that I am a boy.
Yeah, but you would engage in wrestling with me. So is it that I'm thinking that you're a boy, or is it that you want to fight me?
You thought that I was a boy.
Anyways,
I'm a little girl.
oh,
And
little girl that will hop on my back and try to choke me and hold me down, right? That's what little girls do, right?
you were the little bro. I
Okay.
do remember that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just to like speak to, like we were genuine friends, and it was respectful, right? Like nothing weird. So when did emotions start to change for you?
I remember this one time we hadn't like talked in a week or something, and I think because you had a love interest,
Mm-hmm.
so Fian has a love interest now. Sean has a love interest, and during this time, I was in my quote unquote what do they call it? My intentional single era, something like that. And I was like, I'm not gonna talk to any guy. Like the next guy that I talk to is gonna be my husband. I knew that. And so you're like we're kind of creating space and boundaries because like people have girlfriends, and I mean you didn't have a girlfriend, but like my guy friends are now starting to have love interests, and I'm like, okay, well, let me just take a step back. um and so there was this one week where we didn't hang out and we
Mm-hmm.
didn't really text like that. We
Mm-hmm.
had a church function that I saw you at. Maybe it was like a Friday night or something. And then I came in, and you said something. You were like, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. I really miss you. And that like did something to my brain a little.
Okay.
Like the way he said, I miss you.
Please, let's just clear it for the record. It wasn't on some weird stuff. It was on some like, bro, where have you been type stuff.
That's not how I heard it.
Well, it's a good thing that communication is two ways because I definitely didn't say it in any way I shouldn't have.
No, he meant like I miss you from his soul.
Okay.
Like the way he said it,
Okay.
the way he said it, I was like, this is not a regular I miss you.
Yes, it very much was.
First off, like you don't even when you don't see your friends for a long period of time, you don't need to say I miss you.
Huh?
You
What
just
are we saying?
like that's your friend. Like you just simply say like, "Oh my gosh, where have you been?" But you took it a step further and you said, "Oh my gosh, we haven't hung out in a while.
Yeah.
I miss you."
Okay.
And that was like it was like a glitch in my system, and I was like, "You're not supposed to miss me. You're my brother. We don't miss each other. It's
So brother
okay."
and sister don't miss each other.
I don't miss my siblings ever.
That's weird.
And you want to know why I don't miss my
I mean, because you
siblings?
talk to them.
I get a good load of them even when I'm not physically around them.
Okay, but we hadn't gotten that
To
interaction
me,
for
a
a
week wasn't like a week.
You guys
didn't,
don't understand. Bernice and I hung out like all the well, let me not say that's kind of extreme. But we hung out a lot, right? Like if it was with Fiend, if it wasn't with Fiend, we were at church. If it wasn't at church, then we'll hang out was having conversations late at night, social function on campus, seeing each other in the middle of the day randomly, like like I got a large dosage of Bernice, right? So
and because
not seeing her
because
for a whole week was like, dog, what the freak? Where have you been? And it's not a.
he
Might I
didn't say
add?
no dog.
No,
He didn't say
might
no
I
bro.
add? Might I add? It's not something I realized until I saw her. Like
And
the week
that's
had
why-
gone, and I had been living my life and doing whatever I was doing, and then I see her at this prayer night, and I'm like, what the heck? Where have you been?
But I think that's like the difference between you and me. A week wasn't enough for me to like miss him for real. Like a week was like, it was okay. Maybe 2 weeks would have been like, oh, where's my friend? But a week wasn't enough for me to be like, I miss you. And during that week, like we didn't really like interact like that for real. So to me, when I saw him, I was just kind of like, oh, hey. And when he said, I miss you, I was like, we're not supposed to miss each other. We don't do that. We were also just not really like, we weren't like, we were literally platonic. It was brother and sister. It was not any lovey-dovey situation ever. But I do, we say that, but we got to a place where we would be like, love you, bye.
Who started that?
I don't think it was me.
You don't. Nicia.
Because even in like platonic, maybe it was me because I do remember
on.
I do remember like saying that to Fiend and he'd be like, ew, don't say that to me. And I think maybe like that's how it started. Like I knew that he hated when I told him I loved him, but I was like, I genuinely do love you. And so then I just started saying it to you too. But anyways, he said, I miss you. And like something felt different about it. But as the night progressed, right, like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, friends don't miss each other. Like that's so weird.
Bro, it wasn't that deep, bro.
But I also had this thing where I thought everybody had a crush on me. You couldn't tell me anything. Like I don't know where I do know where I became insecure. But there was a point in time in college where I just really knew and believed and thought that I was that girl. And so naturally I was like, this guy has a crush on me, which makes sense because I'm great. Like, duh. And so I'm thinking about that during the prayer night. And then I remember this one instance where I'm like, do you want to ride home? And I'm thinking, oh, this is a great time for us to like catch up or whatever. And he goes, no, I'm going to go hang out with X, Y, and Z. And immediately I was like, no, he doesn't have a crush on me. And it's okay. Because I don't have a crush on him either. So, that was a, like, thank God that's over with. I thought it was going to be awkward. And then there was another time you came over to like hang out. We were watching a movie and the air was thick. The lights were low.
What does that even mean? Please tell this story correctly.
The people that know.
It's not even what you guys are thinking. Please.
I'm not even done.
Go ahead and continue.
The air was thick. The lights were low. We're watching this movie. And in any other situation with any other person, like something could have happened. Like you could have tried to kiss me.
No.
And you say that until
I mean, not now. Not now.
No, just wait until a couple weeks later.
Anyways.
And he just goes, in a moment where I feel like a guy could have tried to take advantage of the situation. Um, and I didn't think that he ever would, just because nothing had happened. We're platonic. I'm not even thinking about anything. He's talking to somebody, um, and I say I'm in my single season, but there's a guy that I'm looking at, and I'm like, maybe, but it's nothing like serious. And in a situation where he could have taken advantage that night, um, he didn't. He was like, I really believe that we should invite the Lord in this presence. And we had never had an interaction like that. Why do you want to invite the Lord here? Not that it's a bad thing. I was just like, this is really a moody atmosphere. Like, so many things could happen. Not that I wanted anything to happen, but I'm saying, like, I was shocked that he was like, I think that we should invite the Holy Spirit here. And he like puts on worship music, and he's worshiping. I'm worshiping. There's prayer going on. And then that was our night. That was our night. And I remember just feeling like so respected and loved in a way that I've never experienced with the opposite sex before. Like, I was worthy of just being in a space of worship. I didn't get touched. I wasn't pressed up on. Like, it was just such a oh my gosh, like, I think that this is what love feels like.
Mm.
And I remember the next day I called my best friend, and I was like, girl, I think I found my husband. And to be very honest, she was like, that man is not your husband. And I was like, yeah, you're right. He's probably not. But like, a husband like him would be so amazing. And then I told her what had happened. And she was like, okay, cool.
And you can catch the continuation of this episode in our part 2 of the season finale. Y'all already know what it is. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We thank you guys so much for watching up until this point. Y'all know where to catch us on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, or if you are a viewer on YouTube as well. We cannot stress enough our appreciation for you guys kind of riding with us through this season, through the ups and the downs. We're super excited for what the future holds. As we mentioned earlier, please feel free to drop down in the comments what you guys would like to see from us once season 1 ends. We would like to stay present on YouTube and kind of grow with you guys. So whatever you guys would love to see, let us know. But I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
I'll see y'all in part 2.
Yep. But all right, without further ado,
Bye.
welcome home.